Are you flipping out or flipping in? The hows, whys, and whats of the flipped classroom model. What I'm going to go through with you here today in this short flipping out video about flipping is 4 things. One is, what is flipping in the classroom? 2, what does the research say about all this? 3, how can you do flipping the classroom? And 4, what are the benefits of flipping the classroom, as well as what are the problems and constraints that you might encounter in trying to flip. Ironically, I'm flipping in a week on flipping the classroom, so I'm demonstrating, I guess, part of this concept. What you'll have in here today, I think, is a little bit of video before coming to class, then videos within, some demonstrations, some reflections, and so forth. And who do we have to thank for flipping the classroom? None other than Salman Khan from the Khan Academy, who has like 59,000 degrees from Harvard and MIT. And he came up with this brilliant idea of flipping the classroom. And his one idea has impacted millions of students around the world. And millions of people watching his TED Talks have learned about it. Millions of people reading his book, The One World Schoolhouse, have learned about it. Maybe not millions of people have read his book, but lots of people have read his book. Lots of people know who he is. And he's kind of the figurehead of flipping the classroom. But there are other players. There are other people. There are definitely more people than Salman Khan doing this. But take a look at the Khan Academy, because he talks about moving from the old model of teaching and learning, a passive way of learning, to a more active and engaging way of learning and teaching. Trying to get students to consume learning before coming to class. The rote learning stuff happens before class instead of during class. And so you can provide more inspiration in class, more opportunities for mentoring and tutoring and engagement and problem solving that maybe didn't happen before. In fact, it's not just the kids in your classroom that benefit from the flipping notion, but kids in other classes might download the videos for all sorts of reasons, whether they lack teaching resources, as these kids do in India, or whether they're prepping for college examinations, or in a remedial class setting. There are many reasons why we flip or turn the classroom around, and we're basically taking this notion of the plethora of resources, the wealth of resources we have today that are online, instead of, in the past, relying on books that we read before class. Today we can store video that we couldn't store in the past. Today we can take this new pedagogical approach that moves from the group learning space to the individual space. In effect, it creates a more transformed environment, a chance for you to engage with others when you do come to the group space and not just receive passively what's going on. You might apply concepts, problem solve, problem find. You might watch these lectures at home at your own pace, replaying them over and over again, which is an advantage. And you basically rearranged the classroom time and shifted that notion of who's controlling the delivery of the content. In part, who owns that content, but you're changing where I guess the reception part of learning is happening, and changing then the classroom environment to be a more engaging, enlightening, interactive space where you might solve problems and scenarios and cases and situations and discuss them with other people. You might create a podcast show of your results, or a book, or a website. Instead of taking notes over and over and recording, you now have a chance to do that before coming to class. Instead of checking your Facebook account and your email and other things online and updating Twitter, now you're doing some problems in class with a group of other students. So you're no longer passively having this happen. Now you have a set of videos to watch, or screencasts that the instructor does, using Jing or Screener or some other tool. And in class you have these hands-on experience where the teacher's a guide to help you get into this content, a guide on the side, if you will. And this is not just true in high schools. This is also happening in medical schools with older students. We're moving to a more, I guess, of a lab kind of model, a more of a situated learning kind of model, where students work in teams, they solve simulations or games or problems, more hands-on, less observation. That observation can happen through watching the video before or after class, or even you might have some observation of video during class. Not saying that everything happens before, But you have these studio kinds of learning where you now can, as a learner, you now can practice and discuss. Because we know from a Neo-Vygotskian standpoint that learning is best derived on a social plane, that we learn with others, we engage with others in this social plane. And so one misconception then becomes that flipping means we're just watching videos before class. And that's a fallacy in some ways. Another fallacy is that everything can happen on your own without the help or support of a teacher. And in fact, we need the teachers as guides. We need teachers as counselors. We need teachers as consultants. We need teachers as curators and concierges who are helping us find and retrieve content and guiding us along the way. So flipping doesn't necessarily mean we eliminate teachers or we eliminate schools or we eliminate the learning spaces that we grew up in. We're just changing those spaces to some degree. We're finding the golden nuggets, the high quality resources, and if we can't find them, we create them like I'm doing right here, right now, you see, in this lovely IU, Indiana University space, as you can see behind me. The IU wall. Well, there are 4 pillars, according to Robert Talbert from the Chronicle of Higher Ed, for flipping the classroom: a flexible environment with various modes of learning, changing it around, learning cultures, a student-centered kind of learning situation, intentional content, where you have the direct instruction intentionally provided before class, like this video might be used, and then a professional educator who reflects on what's happened with students, debriefs on what they tried to do, gives the purpose for what they've tried to do, and is a co-collaborator, a co-facilitator. And so there actually are scales that you can go to see whether or not your environment is flexible enough. If you've established those spaces to permit students to engage and interact with others, to monitor and observe students and provide students with different ways of mastering that content. So you can check the checklist scales. There are other ways to observe, but this is one tool that exists out there to just reflect on whether you're providing a changed learning environment that has more meaningful activities, that has differentiated feedback and immediate feedback. So question number 1 is, how do you, or how might I, or how might anyone, get students to do the work before class? How do you get them to watch these videos? Maybe you'll pause this video at this point and have a reflection activity before I go to the next point. So hit pause. Now, for the answer, you might model watching the videos yourself. That's one way to get everyone to do it. We all know from online learning, if you don't model discussion online, students won't discuss. You also might give points for doing so, or have a quiz when they come to class, or a short little activity where you use that content. You might also make it part of the community. Now, how else might you flip? Did I miss anything? If I did, hit pause. If I didn't, we'll move on. You might grade their pre-work, some activity they did. You might tell students why you're flipping. Give them the purpose of flipping, that you believe that this is a better approach, a better philosophy of instruction, in that they have more control over their learning. So give them the rationale. If you give the rationale, purpose, and objectives, students are more inspired to do it. You might also use it, try it out. Bring back prior students to tell how it worked. How did that class work? And don't just do what I'm doing in my class this semester. Don't just do it once as a one-off activity. Build on it. Try it out over and over and change it up. So some tips on flipping: give them your expectations. Tell students what you're trying to do. Use technology that's easy to use. Start from a base. Start from something easy. Don't get them frightened or intimidated. Step aside and allow students to learn from each other. Get students to co-collaborate, jointly discuss. Don't just rely on you. Assess students' pre-class understanding and compare it to post-class. Do some action research, in-class researches, and set a target for what you're attempting to do, so that you have a base, a goal, a benchmark maybe from previous semesters, and then assess it the way in which flipped classroom models might be assessed. Dig into the new ways of assessment. You might have to do more on the front end. You might have to plan things out more when you flip. You might have to invest a little bit in video resources like we're doing here in this setting. A nice little banner on the back that says IU School of Education doesn't hurt, and that's not that expensive. But the Camtasia and other things we're doing here maybe cost a little more money. Prepare the learners for this. Tell them you're doing it. Tell them about your instructional philosophy. Maybe have them write their philosophy of teaching and learning and compare it. And then be more active in that environment. You might do the flipping first, watch a video, and then come to class and do cases. Or find problems. Give them a mess of stuff. Give them a whole mess of papers that they got to read, you know, and then you take those messiness and you search for problems and errors, just like coming up with a master's thesis or dissertation topic or honors thesis. Look for problems. Solve cases. Compare your case problems. One of the biggest mistakes in solving a flipped classroom situation or creating a flipped classroom situation is relying only on video. And forget, we still have books, we still have journals, we still have simulations. There's all sorts of other things you can use. Now, you might record just audio. You might do audio and video like we're doing here, picture in picture. You don't just have to use video. You can use keynotes from conferences. You can use MOOCs. In fact, there's a big trend on flipping today where people use massive open online classes, pretty established expert videos for their flipped experience. You might use publications combined with the video, or maybe you have the author reflect on their publications as a pre-activity, which is actually happening today with Pubcast, where you have a publication with a video wrapped around it. There's many ways in which we can get into a flipped classroom model. Now, Aaron Sams and John Bergman in Colorado created the Flip Notion, and they have a series of videos that they've designed that in my class will show, that talk about helping struggling students, that talk about increasing learner-learner interaction and things of that nature, that allow for learning to happen at different rates of speed. Students can come back and watch. There's Aaron Sams. You can watch his videos on Teaching for Tomorrow, the Flipped Classroom. Short videos. There's a number of short videos that explain how to do it, explain the technology involved. Watch, rewind, fast forward. There's a lot of technology here, but there's a lot of learning theory. I want you to reflect on the learning theory behind all this. Why are we stopping and reflecting? Why are we working in teams? Why are we engaging in some kind of collaborative task during class after watching a video sequence? What do we do with that video later? So you can look at the bugs in students' thinking that become more evident in a face-to-face situation than if you're lecturing to them. If they're problem solving, you'll see those bugs. So the instructor no longer has to perform 5 times a day and give the same lecture over and over and over. Boring. Okay? Now those boring lectures will hopefully they're not all boring. Hopefully there's some engagement and some activity. And it's not just happening with those high school students from John Bergman, it's happening in college classrooms. And there are some examples from North Carolina, Ohio State, Penn State that my class will be watching relating to flipping the classroom that are a couple minutes long as well. This is my first flipped classroom. I had a student named Satoshi walk in to my experience. I just was trying this out because I was going to a conference in Europe or something. And so I filmed the early class and learning theories for my class that they watched. After that, I developed an 8-pack of videos for my learning theories class that students can watch. And when I teach online, they watch the videos. We come to class online and we discuss them. So that's the way in which I've actually tried out flipping. I've also created 27 videos on how to teach online that others can use as training programs for their instructors. You go to my homepage, you can get access to those. So flipped classroom research says, hey, military, they were able to increase competence in a short amount of time of military people, 500,000 soldiers getting skills at 85% A-level competence. There are kids going to high school in Germany, less D's and F's, more A's and B's as a result of flipped classroom. It's not just happening with military personnel and their families, but students in college settings learning introductory statistics are they're less satisfied with flip, but they're learning more. Some want to go back to the old model and just sit back and bring it in, but they're actually learning more. There's more connectedness, more collaboration. And if we look at engineering courses as well as statistics, you see a movement away from passive learning towards developing skills, design skills, improved understanding of course materials, greater depth of understanding. Again, another engineering statistics class. Apparently engineering faculty want to use this stuff. They're trying this out. More collaboration in psychology. There's, again, more learning happening through a flip model, which is my training is educational psych, and I can see this happening, where the model might be watching the videos, coming to class and discuss them, and taking some quizzes and exams and doing some Piagetian experiments or some other Gestalt experiments after watching the video. It might come alive for you having watched the video. Now we'll talk about what Piaget or Wundt or Skinner were doing. There also are labs that Pearson and other companies provide, virtual case studies in effect, that can help you understand how short-term memory works, long-term memory, schema theory, if you're teaching psychology or other topics, study skills, the impact of mnemonics, or whatever it might happen to be. So there are also people talking about micro flipping, short flipping. Instead of this little video that's just 15 to 20 minutes long, you might do 5 minutes with clickers and mobile apps and activities and so forth. Now, how do you flip? These are some professors doing, with the guy on the left from UPenn doing a massive class in mythology. The other person created a video called I Flip, You Flip, We All Flip. It's a little bit long, so I won't show it here. But you can flip through creating screencasts. You can do it through Camtasia, recording yourself, like I'm doing here, in this Taj Mahal of all video studios here, with my assistant, Mink Young, who's too shy to get on camera. We can put her on camera briefly in there, but I'll probably mess everything up now. Okay, so screencasting. We've got tools like Jing and Snagit and Screener and so forth that help us do this kind of thing. And on an iPad, you've got Show Me and other tools that let teachers create short little video snippets. And so today we're moving to these multimedia classrooms. We're moving to having engaging videos that are not just in film classes anymore. It's in education and business and psychology and other disciplines. And we have studios like this wonderful one here where we can film and record. And this is common today. Some professors are becoming celebrities as a result of their videos. That's not the goal. That's not the end point. The end point is learning. In all of this, the end game is to enhance teaching and learning. Now, some people become known for their biology research or chemistry research or astronomy because of having a famous TED Talk or TED Ed Talk. EDUCAUSE has a short piece on 7 things you should know about flipping the classroom. You might read this piece. I might actually assign it to my class in week 13 for R6, 7, 8. And if those of you who are not in my class want my syllabus, it's on the web. By all means, download it. It's a monster of 45 pages, and week 13 is on flipping the classroom. So next steps for me is to experiment more with flipping in the fall when I teach P540 learning theories online for the first time in a few years. I've been teaching it face-to-face, but I'm going to try some flipping there. I might also research. In fact, my visiting scholar right now and I are trying to publish a paper on flipping the class in China. So is this a revolution? You might pause right now if you're watching and ask your students, is this a revolution? Viva la revolution! Yes, maybe no. Pause. Or come back. I'm not so sure flipping the classroom is. I think we're a ways away from whether it is a revolution or not. I think it's an extension of what we've been doing for a couple of decades. Storing video online helps us do more than we could in the past. Is it a revolution? We're getting a revolution maybe as a result of mobile learning, online learning, blended learning, flipping classes, and e-books. A combination of things become a revolution. Flipping the class alone, I do not think is, but maybe you put maybe. My notes are posted at trainingshare.com, my publication at Publication Share, and I have a free book at techvariety.com on how to teach online. At tech-variety.com, and under free stuff, you can download by chapter. And there are many ideas about flipping the classroom in that book. So hopefully you've gotten something from this. That picture there is from Hanyang Cyber University in Seoul, Korea, where I had a chance to give some lectures. And they have elegant recording, very sophisticated recording technologies there because they're the top cyber university in Korea and maybe all of Asia. And so universities today are becoming known for this area. And that's why this topic becomes important. Not just because students learn more, but because there are jobs out there for people who know something about this field. Actually, we should take the opposite way. There are jobs, but more importantly, students are learning something. So I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank Mink Young. You want to say something, Mink Young? So I want to thank Mink Young and her assistants, and thank everyone for the opportunity to talk to you about flipping the classroom. Be sure to watch some of those short little video snippets you'll understand more about the process of flipping. You'll understand more about the technologies involved in flipping and the results, because people are giving testimonials about the flipping process. Hopefully you will try this out yourself. Write to me. My email's there if you do. Good luck.